Want me to fix it? I need to show it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started now. My name is Baily Budka, and I'm very pleased to be here with you today. I'm a staffing executive with Robert Half Technology. I run our full-time consulting team here in the Chicago area, and we're going to be talking about how to navigate office politics. Unlike presidential politics, office politics know no season. Politics don't just gear up every 4 years during the campaign trail, but rather they can make frequent appearances in our everyday workplace. So today we'll discuss how office politics affect you, because no matter the size of the company, some form of politics is likely at play. Many people have had a brush with office politics. It's very rare not to. While politics may seem best avoided, writer George Orwell says, in our age, there is no such thing as keeping out of politics, which is very true in an office environment. The same holds true today, and even though Orwell may have been talking about governmental politics, the sentiment can also be applied to the workplace. Here's what other professionals are saying. According to a recent Robert Half survey, more than 60% of workers polled believe some involvement in office politics is either very or somewhat necessary to get ahead. Both students and those already working full-time need to understand that this is an unavoidable but often undiscussed aspect of participating in business and office environments. And although we focus on office scenarios, you'll see throughout that many of these situations actually apply in many different settings, including in education, business, social situations, a variety of places. To advance your career, however, there may be times when you have to become more involved in office politics than you might like. Why? To protect yourself, to get buy-in for any ideas you have, to know how to deal with other political players, to avoid getting stepped on by colleagues as they climb the corporate ladder. I'll take this one step further. Choosing to avoid office politics completely could actually hurt your career. Even though you may not relish in getting involved in office politics, a simple understanding of the political landscape of your company is important to career advancement. And if you were wondering just how often people actually take part in office politics, another Robert Half survey asked workers to share their degree of involvement in office politics. Again, more than half said they're either actively involved or feel they have to occasionally play the game to get ahead. The fact that this many workers feel the need to get involved, at least to some degree, suggests office politics play an important role in career advancement. Today we're going to talk about how you can become more politically savvy at work. We're going to talk about building coalitions that can help you be more productive and enhance your career. And we're going to discuss how to navigate the oftentimes murky waters of office politics and avoid getting caught up in negative political situations. The key to navigating office politics is to build and nurture relationships through your organization. The more you work collaboratively with others, the more they can help you in return. The best employees understand organizational dynamics, and they know you can't operate in a vacuum in order to be successful. It involves working with others on your team, in your department, faculty, program, and with colleagues in other departments. So depending on what your social, educational, or business groups are like, that can determine what kind of office politics play a role. The tone is often set at the top of the organization, and filters throughout the organization. It's important to understand your company's values, but these drive a lot of the political undercurrents. Knowing the key players. While many people don't enjoy playing office politics, it's still important to know who the key players are in the organization. They could include your manager's assistant, C-level executives, and their assistants. The assistants are often the gatekeeper to key executives, so get to know them and don't underestimate their power and influence. I always tell people when they're interviewing at a company, immediately that they're interviewing with the person at the front desk or the assistant that they interact with first. It's very important to be positive and be involved with the assistants as well. Tech support or other professionals who help you throughout the day, who can help you be more effective in your role. Might be someone in accounting who runs regular reports for you, your HR representative who helps you with any staffing issues. You need to get to know all of these individuals and how to work best with each of them, and then give everyone the same consideration you would expect from others. It's not only important to know these individuals, but also to understand their work styles. For example, how do they like to communicate? Email, phone? Are they more available in the morning or the afternoon? Do they like to chat or prefer a get-to-the-point approach? Do they want you to back up your suggestions with valid reasons? How often do they want updates? Some don't like to be kept guessing and want regular status updates, or they need constant reassurance that a project is running smoothly. Others are less formal, may only require periodic check-ins. What are their hot buttons? What issues or projects elicit a strong emotional response? Understand what's important to these key players and prioritize your workload accordingly when necessary. What may seem less important to you may be a top priority for your manager or his or her manager or anyone else in the company. Finally, what do they need from you? How does your role relate to theirs? What can you provide better, faster, or more frequently? And if you're unsure of any of these things, just ask. Office politics become more important as you move up in a company. You have greater influence and others look to you for guidance the farther you move up. You need to be able to influence others, and that's where your relationships and team dynamics come more into play. So basically, office politics will become more important, not less, the further up the career ladder you go. In fact, promotions may be tied to your ability to navigate tricky situations at work. Now let's spend a few minutes on some political lessons for professionals in the office, a few tips to help guide you. Number one, avoid smear campaigns. Keep it clean. Sometimes office politics can be a dirty business. The key to rising above negativity is to identify those motives and respond appropriately. To do this, you have to avoid mudslinging, blaming other people. You need to stick to the facts. Don't make things personal with other people. Don't malign someone's character to make yourself look good, because it will only make you look worse. And leave the smear campaigns for the actual politicians. Number two, keep tabs on office news, not office gossip. Take note of political undercurrents in the office by keeping tabs just on the office news. Water cooler talk can sometimes yield useful information, but you have to know which conversations to listen to and which ones to stay out of. Separate the news from the gossip and avoid any conversations that could polarize your coworkers against you. You'll want to pay attention to any career-related talk, like discussions about job cuts, possible new positions, any other changes within the company, but not the gossip. Number three, don't neglect grassroots movements. Observe and respect established nuances of everyday life in the office. Learn what's not in the company handbook. What are the unspoken rules? Study office behavior, other people's office protocol. Observe how things are done and how to handle certain individuals in certain situations, and avoid breaching the unwritten rules and the unspoken chains of command. Number four, conflicts quickly. You want to settle any small squabbles before they turn into bigger conflicts. Don't address issues with colleagues when you're upset or frustrated. That'll only escalate things and make it worse. You want to focus on facts, not feelings, and acknowledge when you're wrong. Number five, use small talk to win big. You want to connect to the people. Why are politicians so often photographed shaking hands and talking with people? Because it makes them accessible and interested in their constituents. They're more likely to win votes if people feel connected to them on a personal level. The same applies to you in a professional environment. Get to know your fellow team members on a personal level. Talent and strong work ethic will only get you so far, but good interpersonal skills will take you the rest of the way. Simply put, small talk can help you win big. Expressing interest in coworkers' lives strengthens those connections with them and makes them feel valued. You want to take the time to talk about non-work related subjects that are appropriate, and that can firm up office friendships and diffuse office tension. When office politics go awry, now that we've discussed strategies for becoming a good office politician, let's look at some of the activities that can give office politics a bad name. These are some of the more prevalent political activities in the workplace, according to a recent Robert Half poll of over 400 workers. Alarming, isn't it, how even in professional organizations, gossiping accounts for almost half of the most common behaviors. I'd like you to take a moment and think about your own work or classroom situation. Can you think of any peers who fall into these categories? Are there any behaviors not mentioned that you should be included? There's gossiping, spreading rumors, trying to flatter the boss to gain favor. I'm sure that many of you have come across that in any professional or educational situation. Although involvement in office politics is necessary to advance, if taken to extremes, it can have the opposite effect. This is where finesse comes into play. Now let's take a look at a field guide to some of the more egregious political players in your office, and tips on how to deal with them and how to avoid becoming one of those people. With gossip playing such a huge role in office politics, most of you are probably familiar with the telltale body language signals that alert you when office gossip is probably taking place. Bowed heads, hunched shoulders, covering your mouth, looking around to see if anyone's listening. While it seems harmless, even the most seemingly innocuous gossip can seriously undermine integrity and morale of everything from social circles, school project groups, and definitely in the office. As I mentioned earlier, water cooler talk can sometimes yield useful information, but knowing when to hang around the water cooler and when not to is key to avoid becoming involved in office gabfest. When to leave the water cooler. If someone needs to hide behind a file folder to say something, you probably don't need to hear it. Avoid talk that focuses on juicy office intrigue, idle speculation, and other things that can only be spoken about in hushed tones. Stay away of conversations centered on coworkers' personal lives or their weekend exploits. It's also wise to avoid topics like religion, politics, other talk that can cause any friction between people, and possibly even escalate to an argument. Like water cooler talk, self-promotion shouldn't be avoided altogether, but there is a right and wrong way to go about doing it. So how it should be done. If you recognize this person, the credit thief is the person who steals all of the glory. She might claim more than her fair share of credit on a team project, accept no responsibility when things go wrong. She might even take all of the credit for a project. When dealing with a credit thief, you want to protect yourself, so keep written records of your contributions and correct any misperceptions when necessary, but in a professional manner. There are ways you can gain visibility without boasting or bragging. So you could try periodically apprising your manager of your successes, but not in a bragging way, just letting them know, hey, I got this done today, or I got that done today. Quantifying contributions in status reports is also a professional way to brag about your successes.
Asking for, I look at code and I copied you on.
So even if you don't watch the TV show Mad Men, you probably know the Pete Campbell type. Smooth and slippery with no apparent scruples. The Pete Campbells are known outside of the world of TV as the sycophant. So if you're curious about this type of politician, flattery is their weapon of choice to ingratiate himself with higher-ups. He flagrantly strokes the egos of anyone perceived to be in a position of power, and he has little time or respect for underlings. Take heed if this individual suddenly shifts their attitude toward you. This newfound attention may signal that you're being set up for a one-sided favor.
Or special attributes or something? Special instructions. Special instructions.
The saboteur is also a Pete Campbell type with a broader spectrum of ulterior motives. So they might be like a double agent in the office, somebody who specializes in sabotaging other people's work rather than doing their own hard work to get ahead. They might seem like a team player on the surface, but really only look out for themselves. They might try to make themselves look good by making others look bad. and they manipulate people and cause antagonism by pitting coworkers against each other. If you think you recognize these traits in a colleague, it's best to keep your guard up and maintain a safe distance from people like that. There's also the debater. The debater needs no one else's input but his own. They lobby relentlessly for a personal agenda. The most notable attributes of a debater would be the person in the office who slices up your good ideas like a master chef. They're passionate about their own projects, but much less enthusiastic about anyone else's. They think that their way of doing things is the only way, and they advocate or support no one else's projects or ideas but their own. They might think there is some hidden I in teamwork, as in I am always right. Does that person sound familiar? When working on team projects with a debater, be very wary of the agenda being pushed. Stand up for yourself, stand up for your ideas. Don't be strong-armed by hard sell tactics. Make sure you present your own ideas so the debater thinks it's his or her own.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Now that you have an idea of how to deal with office politics, it's important to consider how important soft skills are in an overall office setting. More than 8 in 10 workers interviewed in a recent Robert Half survey said being courteous to others has an impact on a person's career prospects. I definitely agree with that. Repeated etiquette or communication breaches show a lack of attention to detail or common courtesy. This can cause others to perceive you as unprofessional and potentially affect your prospects for any career advancement. Here are key soft skills employers are looking for. Collaboration with other people, with other team members. Leadership skills, even if you're not in a leadership position. Written and verbal communication is very important. Flexibility on anything, just being a flexible person in general, and taking initiative on doing additional work, putting in that extra amount of work. Now I'd like to discuss each one in greater detail, beginning with collaboration. The ability to work well with others is pivotal in a team setting where you'll interact with people at all levels of an organization in other disciplines and professions. In this context, you must utilize skills such as diplomacy, tact, negotiation. You must be willing to let others lead and be able to listen with an open mind to new ideas and to new ways of doing things. Just as there will be times that you'll have a supporting role on a team, there will be other instances where you'll be leading an initiative or supervising a team of coworkers on a project. In those cases, you'll need to tap into your leadership skills to motivate coworkers and guide the team to success. You'll need a big picture perspective to anticipate the needs of the company and conceptualize solutions. Effective leadership is also based on an understanding of the company's business objectives and priorities. As a leader, you'll be called upon to find solutions. In a survey we conducted, 34% of CFOs said that problem-solving abilities impress them the most when hiring candidates. I've also found that if you aren't already in a leadership position and you show leadership qualities on different projects and other parts of your job, then you're more likely to get tapped on the shoulder for a leadership position in the future. Accountants must also be able to effectively explain financial data and regulatory requirements, make suggestions and offer solutions, both verbally and in writing, to senior management and diverse audiences in the company. The importance of strong communication skills is reinforced by this statistic. More than 1/3 of CFOs said it was the most impressive characteristic that they were interviewing job candidates. Flexibility. Another key characteristic in today's competitive business environment is flexibility. This is prized by 35% of CFOs we surveyed, who said the ability to adapt to change is necessary for success. To cultivate greater flexibility, try to view change as an opportunity, not an obstacle or a threat. While it's good to be adaptable to changes when they occur, it's even better to proactively bring about change when it will benefit your company. For example, if you determine that a new process would save time and money, propose the change to management and lead the way by offering to collaborate with different departments on the project. There is increased demand for candidates who can step into a new position and immediately assume ownership of their project, making initiative a highly sought-after attribute. Employees can show initiative by being proactive in finding resources and solutions to company challenges, by proposing innovative approaches or more efficient ways of doing the job, and by alerting leaders of when there are issues or developments. such as new reporting requirements that could impact the company. Sometimes it's easier to explain how to do something right by showing how it shouldn't be done. That's why Robert Half created the Don't Let This Happen to You video series. Our newest set is on, guess what, office politics. With these videos, you can see the types of mistakes that could derail your career progression. The image in the slide is from a video in the series. This one is called The Promotion. You can view all of our Don't Let This Happen to You videos at roberthalf.com/bloopers. That concludes our discussion on navigating office politics. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found this information very helpful. I enjoyed being with you today. Before we sign off, are there any questions, or is there anything you'd like to add that wasn't covered?
Feel free to use the chat if you have yourself muted. I'm going to unmute all of the participants so that you can ask your question. Bailey, I want to thank you and Robert Half on support of the professional development series that we have participated in today. The Hawk Talk series brought to you from the IIT Alumni Association. On your screen, you'll see the online library where we archive this presentation and the ones that we've done throughout the year. If you've enjoyed this presentation, I would encourage you to use these resources as well as those of the Alumni Association and Career Services offices at Illinois Tech. With that, we conclude our presentation today, and thank you all for presenting.
Thank you very much.